opportunity to be here with you today. I just arrived from New York. I wish I could have been here with you yesterday, but I had to be at another party, and that was a family 80th birthday party. So some things are, are important. So I first wanted to thank you. I wanted to thank all of the international Green Party advocates that are here in solidarity and support for being here. I wanted to thank all of the volunteers and the state representatives and state heads, because you're the ones that are out there knocking on the doors and making this happen. And I want to thank all of the candidates and their teams for their dedication and their courage to go out there, because campaigning is tireless and tiring work. So thank you for doing that. I know this is a really long day for you. If you're tired, there's a single theme I'm going to try to get across today. It's embrace your green power. I want to read a quote from Nelson Mandela that's inspired me. It says, "Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we're powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us." So we all know the gravity of the situation that we're in. I know that Gar Alperovitz was up here, and I'm sure he told you about the economic situation that we're in. I got this experience, as David said, from healthcare, seeing healthcare reform. Brent Blackwelder recently gave a talk at an event that we did. He's the president emeritus of Friends of the Earth, and Congress, he testified before Congress over 200 times. He said back in the 1970s, when you went to Congress, facts actually mattered. Like, they actually wanted real information. But what I saw up close and personal in 2009 and 2010 was that they did not want to hear the facts. They wanted to do everything that they could do to keep us from giving them the facts about healthcare reform and about what would be a real solution in our country. In fact, what the majority of people support, improve Medicare for All. And then after the bill was passed, we saw politicians on the right and on the left talking about political ideology, not the patients, not what was important. The idea of the individual mandate, which came from the Heritage Foundation, because the Democrats passed it, was suddenly opposed by the right and embraced by the left, despite it being a flawed policy. And then the Supreme Court decision was all about the effects on political careers, not about what was actually going to happen to the people of this country. And I can't even go on. It was the worst decision that the Supreme Court could have possibly made. Not only are we now forced to purchase private insurance, a flawed product that leaves families unable to afford care and bankrupt or homeless if they have a serious illness, but now states have the right to not expand their Medicaid, and it's expected that about 8 or 11 million people out of the 16 million expected to get coverage under Medicaid are now not going to get that. Our most vulnerable population is still going to be left out of our healthcare non-system. So sometimes we call them the ruling class. I now call them the looting class. The looting class is out there, and they're driving us over the cliff. So it's up to us as people to turn this around and stop this. That's why I occupy. That's why I'm part of It's Our Economy. I was so glad to hear Pamela talk about the economic democracy, because that is fundamental to shifting our political power. We must reduce the wealth divide. And I'm so glad that the Green Party is here, because I see you as the electoral arm of this movement that is going to change what's happening in this country. The Green Party actually stands with the majority of people in the United States. Let's remember that. Most people want health care for everyone. Most people want corporate control to not be in control of our political process. Most people want money out of our political process. They want a green economy, green jobs. They want to end the wars. You stand with the majority, and your principles are also the principles of the majority. Your commitment to democracy, real democracy, your commitment to nonviolence, to respect, to inclusion, all of these are representative of the majority of people. So remember that as you go forward. You're speaking for the people. But this is a long-term struggle. And so we know that we have to build a mass movement. And that's why I'm so glad to see the Green Party this year, the strength that you've shown, the organization and commitment, the dedication, the intelligence of your approach, getting on the ballot in, what is it going to be, 45 states? That's amazing. Give yourselves some applause for that. That's tremendous. So we're never going to match what's going on with the money. They have billions, they have trillions of dollars, but what we can do is out-organize them. And that's our job. And that's what you're already doing, but we've got to keep it up. Build coalitions. And embrace your power. You have power. I want to outline 3 areas of power that you have. One is that you have the truth. The conversations that are happening in the Democratic and Republican campaigns are false conversations. They're distracting us. They're not talking about the real things. They're not talking about what people in their communities are talking about. We have the real conversation, and we need to expose that and expose the truth. We also need to be out in the streets. That's where I'm most comfortable. Joining with our brothers and sisters, making coalitions with those who are fighting for economic and social and environmental justice and against the war. Let's join them in the streets, because no matter who's in office, and unless it's one of you, we're not going to see change. We're going to have to be out there pressuring, and that's just where it is. And then the last thing is your impact on elections. This is why I'm so glad to see that you're on the ballot in so many states, because it is our power to impact elections. We know that Romney and Obama, in terms of their policies, are not very different, right? So if someone calls you a spoiler, I would say, yay, I'm a spoiler. The abolitionists were called spoilers, right? And think of it. If you can spoil what the corporate duopoly is doing, isn't that like a great thing? So I hope that you'll be committed for the long run, to continue to organize, to continue to build coalitions, to continue to be out there, vocal and visible, and that we'll continue at every level of office to be running and to be in there pushing. And so let your light shine, and just remember that you can't spoil something that's already rotten.